We're going to start by going through the 20 questions, okay? And so everybody take a look at the first question. All foul shoes that come to rest in the pit must be removed before play can continue. The correct answer is no. All foul shoes do not have to be removed from the pit. Foul shoes in the scoring area of the pit. A shoe that is delivered in non-compliance with one of the rules is considered to be a dead or foul shoe. It scores as a shoe out of count and is to be removed from the pit if it appears to be within the scoring area of the stake before any more shoes are pitched. Note, live shoes already in the pit area that may be disturbed by a foul shoe or other live shoes are not to be removed unless they are knocked into the foul territory and then come to rest in the scoring area. Live shoes shall be scored as they lie after all shoes for the inning have been pitched. Number 2, Al is on the pitching platform preparing to pitch. He notices that Tom is standing on the back portion of the opposite platform and tells Tom that he doesn't belong on the platform and must stand behind it. Al is correct. Yes or no? Al is correct. He cannot stand on the platform. He must be 2 foot behind the pitcher. When not pitching, any contestant shall stand quietly and stationary at least 2 feet behind any contestant on their court or any adjacent court. Number 3, it's your turn to pitch and you notice that your opponent has pitched one of your shoes. You are holding one of his shoes. You ask him if it's okay if you go ahead and pitch his shoe, and he says yes. Is this within the rules for you to pitch his shoe and then score it as your own? Yes. It's the correct answer.
As long as he agrees.
As long as the 2 players agree. The answer, according to the rule book number 3, wrong shoe.
How you gonna pitch everybody's shoes?
If it is discovered during an inning that a contestant has pitched the shoe of an opponent, and if the opponent agrees, the remaining shoes may be pitched and the score will be based on the shoes they pitch. If the contestants do not agree on pitching the remaining shoes, then the shoes pitched shall be picked up and the entire inning shall be repitched using the correct shoes. If the contestants fail to discover this area until after all 4 shoes have been pitched, the inning shall be scored on the basis of whatever shoes they pitched. If agreement cannot be reached, a judge shall be called. Based upon input from the contestants, the judge shall either determine the scoring for the inning or void it and order the inning to be repitched. Okay, number 4. A shoe breaks into 2 or more pieces upon hitting the stake or another shoe in the pit, or just hitting the pit material. A replacement shoe must be pitched in its place. The answer is yes. If a shoe breaks into 2 or more pieces as a result of striking the stake, striking another shoe in the pit, or from landing into the pit substance, the pieces shall be removed and a replacement shoe shall be pitched in its place. If the shoe breaks when striking the backboard or other foul territory, it shall be considered a foul shoe and may not be repitched. Number 5, your opponent's shoes land on top of your shoes, breaking one of them. The broken shoe counts as it lies. The answer is yes. After delivery, if a shoe has landed in the pit and become broken by having another shoe land on it, it shall be scored as it appears to lie. If there is any disagreement, a judge shall be called. The judge shall either determine the scoring for the inning or order a replacement shoe to be repitched. Number 6, in your class, you and your opponent are the first ones to finish your game. Is it acceptable to practice on this court while the others are finishing their game for the round? The answer is no. At the end of each game, contestants shall go promptly to their next assigned court. If the court is vacant, they may practice here at this time. Okay, question number 7. You proceed to your next assigned court, which is vacant. Some of the other players in your round robin are still pitching on the adjacent courts. To speed things up for the next round, you decide to prepare a pit while they finish. Is this acceptable? Yeah, it is not acceptable. And after the games on adjacent courts are completed, both pits shall be prepared for play. When the scorekeeper is ready, the contestants have the option of pitching no more than 4 additional warm-up shoes each, and then the next game must begin immediately. No contestants who may choose to start the game of their next round before all games of the current round have been completed must realize that their game may be interrupted by distractions such as pit preparations and other nearby movements. Number 8, your delivery position on the pitching platform is with one foot completely on the platform and the other foot is making contact with the platform and or surface adjoining the platform. Is this acceptable? It's acceptable. During the entire address and prior to the release of the shoe, the contestant must not start or step completely outside the platform with either foot. Number 9, the 30-second time limit to deliver both shoes starts when the contestant on the pitching platform comes to a set position with the intention of pitching. True. The number 9, time limit. A contestant shall deliver both shoes within 30 seconds. The time limitation shall be determined by a judge and will start when the contestant steps onto the pitching platform with the intention of pitching and is in a set position for the first pitch. Number 10, Robert Wadlow was the tallest man in the world. He was 8 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 439 pounds, and wearing a shoe size 1 greater than mine, 37 AA shoe.
Is he sanctioned?
It would have been very difficult for him to pitch from the standard pitching platform. Today, pitchers are allowed to stand directly behind the pitching platform as long as they step onto the platform before releasing their shoe. It is true. Number 10, a contestant observing the 37-foot foul line may start directly behind the platform, provided they step within it when they release the shoe. Number 11. Before pitching your shoe, you realize your opponent has pitched out of turn. The inning must be repitched. It's true. At number 11, pitching out of turn. It is discovered during an inning before all 4 shoes are pitched that the wrong contestant has pitched first. The shoes pitched so far in that inning shall be repitched. If the error is not discovered after all 4 shoes have been delivered, they shall be scored as they lie, and all original rotation shall be reestablished for the rest of the game. If no agreement can be reached, the judge shall be called. The judge shall determine the scoring or void the inning and order it to be repitched. And if they called me, they'd be throwing the shoes again.
Yeah.
Number 12. When a contestant is measuring a shoe and the shoe or the stake is accidentally moved, the inning shall be scored only if the contestants can come to an agreement. It's true. Number 12. Moving the shoe or stake. When a contestant is measuring a shoe and the shoe or the stake is accidentally moved, the inning shall be scored only if the contestants can come to an agreement. If no agreement can be reached, the judge shall be called. The judge shall either determine the scoring or void the inning and order it to be repitched. Number 13, if a judge accidentally moves the shoe or the stake during the measurement of a shoe, this inning must be repitched. It's false. But number 13, moving the shoe or stake when a contestant is measuring a shoe and the shoe or the stake is accidentally moved, the inning shall be scored only if contestants can come to an agreement. If no agreement can be reached, the judge shall be called. The judge shall either determine the scoring or void the inning in order to be repitched. When a judge is measuring a shoe and the shoe or stake is accidentally moved, the judge shall determine the scoring of the inning or void it in order to be repitched. Exceptions, any shoes for which point values have been already agreed upon. Do not. Number 14. In mixed distance play, if a full distance pitcher is pitching on either of the adjacent courts, the short distance player must stand on or behind the full distance platform while his short distance opponent is pitching. Answer is true. 14. The opponent, when not pitching any contestant, shall stand quietly and stationary at least 2 feet behind any contestant on their court or any adjacent court. Number 15, in a sanctioned event, is it permissible to pitch a shoe with a hairline crack? That's false. Can't pitch a shoe with a hairline crack. 15, cracked shoes. If it is discovered that a shoe is cracked but not completely broken into 2 or more pieces, it shall be scored as it lies. If there is any disagreement, a judge shall be called. The judge shall either determine the scoring for the inning or a replacement shoe be repitched. In any event, a cracked shoe must be replaced before the game can continue. Number 16. After the game has started, you notice water oozing to the surface of the clay, making it hard to hold onto your shoes. You ask your opponent if you can fix the pit again, and she says, yes. Can you fix the pit? Yes, is the answer. Once a game has started, clay pit material within the scoring area may not be moved or altered without consent of the opponent. Sand or dirt pit material, however, may be leveled during the game without consent of the opponent. Any pit material moved for the measurement of a shoe or for the removal of a buried shoe may be replaced. Number 17, before the next game, can a pitcher have someone else prepare their pit for them? You can.
You can.
Yes. Contestants or a designee are responsible for preparing one of the pits of their assigned courts before each game. Number 18, the contestants are taking a lot of time trying to measure a shoe. As the official judge, you tell them that you will take over the measurement of the shoe for them. Is this okay? It's not okay. Tournaments have designated judges to enforce the rules and issue the proper penalties if violations occur. To measure for ringers, the closest shoe to the stake and shoes in count when asked to do so by the contestants. When measuring for a ringer, the straight edge must clear the stake far enough to slide a dollar bill between the shoe and the stake while making contact with the points or with any part of the heel calks. It's false. As the rule states, a ringer is a live shoe that comes to rest while circling the stake. A straight edge touching either the points or any part of the heel calks of the shoe must clear, not touch the stake, in order to be declared a ringer. A ringer has a value of 3 points. Now, looking at this mock-up here, how many people think that's a ringer? How many people think it is not a ringer? James is going to demonstrate the most important tool in the bag, the judge's kit, in my opinion.
Yep.
Not necessarily Greg's, but the most important tool is this little doll right here.
Pretty handy.
And you make sure that this thing is clean before you cleaned off, because you don't want any material on it. But I think it's the most important tool in there. It's the easiest one for me to get underneath stuff. If shoes are on top of each other, you can't remove if they're intertwined or whatever. You got to get underneath. It's about the only you can get it slided in there, and it's also, since it's round, it has it's got the best little edge. And so he's going to demonstrate.
So you'd like for me to demonstrate that there. To me,
as he said, this here, it gives you a different feel for the ringer if you really feel it, and you can feel it within your hand, you know, when you get it in the place, the proper place where it's supposed to be at. I gotta get down on my knees because I'm an old man, you know. But maybe I better get around here so I can see it a little bit. But see, you had to find the place on the shoes. It gives it away. You can't see it, but you can feel it. Where you kick the peg out, you find the high part on both of your toes of the shoes, and it kicks it away from it just a little bit, and you can feel it when it rolls it over. It is a ringer.
You can actually feel it.
You can feel it. You can feel it in your hand how it kicks this away from you.
2,000.
Now, like you said, this here gets beat up, and sometimes very difficult for it to be straight across.
That whole surface is not necessarily straight. And you need to find the thinnest ones. A lot of people would use that heavy flat, the flatter, but the best part to use would be the other side, the thin side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would.
Yeah, the thin side.
And I'm gonna try it like this.
Again, that piece of material is a lot more likely to have been bent a little bit or
Yeah.
something.
See, it doesn't really show the true feeling as this shows.
You gotta put the R2 on the point first. Then roll the R2 back to the peg. Now, the order to check to see if it's on, you should see light on this bottom run. Should see daylight. You should see daylight at the bottom of the top run, but at the top it should be closed. You shouldn't see nothing at the very top of the top run. So if you look here, I can see light here. I can see light at the bottom of the top run, but up here at the top, it's dead
Tight
at the
to the
tip,
peg.
tight to the peg. That shoes on.
Go ahead and shine that light again, please. Can you shine it
Shine
this way?
See it here, and you can see it very at the top, bottom of the top rung, but up here, you cannot see it. It's tight up against the peg. That's a ringer.
Okay.
So you should see light here, light at the bottom of the top rung, here, tight at the peg.
Okay, now, this bridge tool or art tool really designed greatly because of portable pits, because of that whatever you call it down there where that peg sits in,
The welded bridge.
gusset or whatever you call it down there, that comes at the bottom, and a lot of times the shoe will get down below that gusset. And so you can't get to it with a straight edge, but you can get to it with the R tool. Greg thinks the R tool is the best tool to measure ringers. Okay. So, question number 20. When measuring a close ringer, your sense of feel may be better than your sense of sight. The answer is yes. Number 20, this is not a rules question, but this statement may be true for some or most situations to be discussed here at the clinic. 21. This happened in the 2018 Hall of Fame tournament. Pitcher A tosses the shoe into the air and tells pitcher B to call it. Pitcher B catches the shoe and hands it back to pitcher A. It tells him or her, you start. Pitcher A doesn't want to be obligated and tells B to call it. Pitcher does as he is told and wins the flip with a smile and pointing a finger towards pitcher A and says, you start. A says, no, no, no. Who is correct? Who starts? If we flip a shoe and whoever wins the flip wins their choice. Every club should have a judge's kit. You can get judge's kits from Ron and Polly's. There are other providers. Quail Ridge Sales. You guys obviously have a distributor here. The NHPA regional director for the different states, they are supposed to keep a list of official judges. So whoever is the regional director for Wisconsin should maintain a list. Whoever's the state secretary for Wisconsin, Minnesota, or wherever you're from, should maintain a list. Okay? And the secretary for the state should also put a official judge's sticker on the back of your NHPA card to designate you as an official judge.
But sometimes when we've got a pitcher, they've got a follow through with that step, and they step over the foul line. My wife does this, and she, some people, will mention it. She's never actually had a judge called on it, but what's the exact rule as far as releasing the shoe and then stepping over the foul line? If you could answer that for me.
As long as the shoe is released before the second foot hits the ground.
Before your foot
Before my foot, I'm sorry.
crosses the line or
No.
touches the ground.
No, you could be, your follow through can include a step as long as your foot doesn't hit the ground. As long as that shoe is out of your hand before that, follow through foot hits the ground.
Your follow through is not a foul.
Right.
Okay.
You come here and you step here, that's not a foul.
Yeah. So it's not before your foot crosses the line, it's before your foot touches.
Touches,
Okay.
touches
perfect.
before it hits.
Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for coming. We
Yeah,
had a great turnout. I contacted Rich, he got me the PowerPoint, and these four were very gracious to help out, so let's give them a round of applause.
Page 13.